Welcome to Whisperwood Stories. Today we're going to read 4 true scary stories from r/creepyencounters. Let's begin. Our first story is from Musical Nerd. Someone tried to break into my car with my friend inside and then tried to follow us home. Friday night, my friend and I stopped at my regular gas station to pick something up. I pulled up and left her in my passenger seat with the car running and asked her to lock the doors. When I came back out, I went to open my car door and she let me in before telling me that less than a minute before I walked out, a man came out of the gas station. My driver's side was facing away from the gas station, and he walked up behind the car between the gas pump and my side and tried to open the back driver's side door. When it didn't open, he kept walking, made eye contact with my friend, and then went and got into the passenger seat of a truck parked nearby. As he was getting into the truck, she saw me walk out. It's worth mentioning that the city I live in is the top trafficking city in our state, and our state is the 9th largest trafficking state in the USA. At this point, I'm already pulling out of the gas station and getting the hell away from these people. When I stop to turn right out of the gas station, my friend yells at me, "Holy shit, they're following us! They're following us!" I'm not having this, so I whip a right turn and head for the highway connection. They're still behind us, so I end up pulling some Fast and Furious type driving to put as much distance and vehicles between us and them as possible, while telling my friend to find us the nearest police station. When she puts my phone up on the stand in front of me, I look at where we're going and decide to take a longer way that doesn't make sense to take if you're going to the area we're about to go to. Well, they continue to follow us. Finally, we merge onto the major highway and get some vehicles in between us, but they're driving recklessly to keep up behind us. Finally, I cut in front of a line of speeding cars and we lose them until we get to the police station. We ended up sitting there for a while, digesting what happened, before checking the exterior of my car for anything they may have put on it. We then take another roundabout way to go back to my house, where we'll pass the gas station again, but where it gives us enough time to notice if they follow us again. I know this wasn't the smartest idea, but whatever. As we pass the gas station, we see that the truck is parked in the parking lot of the shopping center behind the gas station, facing the road that we had taken the last time we pulled out. I ended up going to a church near my house to avoid going home, and we called 911 and filled the operator in on everything. Since then, we've heard nothing back, not that I expect to, and I've been anxious every time I leave my house, especially after dark. It's almost like I have this weird feeling I'm being watched, even though I know it's in my head. No thank you. Our second story is from Free Art, Watching and Waiting. This happened when I was in high school. I went to a private Catholic school in the 2010s Midwest. My friends and I were experiencing a very rare and very coveted half-day in which we were let out of school around noon. We decided to hang out at one of my friend's grandma's house because it was close to the school. The 4 of us drive over to Grandma's in my friend's 2001 Honda Fit. Just to set the scene, we are 4 young high school girls in Catholic uniforms complete with plaid skirts and tall socks. At Grandma's, we grab a snack and then decide to walk down to the park. The park is in the middle of a bunch of the homes' backyards. Like all shared, but no road to get to it. We walk down the hill in Grandma's backyard and start running to the empty park. I remember we were either racing or just running because we were excited, but we were definitely running up to the park. Like I said, it was completely empty, so we felt free to mess around on the jungle gym and swings and stuff. As I'm talking with one of my friends, probably about one of her many crushes, I notice for the first time the tall and thin bush directly next to the swing set. At this time, we are no more than 4 to 6 feet from the bush. She had her back to it while I was looking at her talking. I see through the leaves that there is an entire man standing in the bush. I try to alert the others without saying it outright, because we were so close to him, I was scared to provoke him. The others caught on, and we all sprinted straight back up the hill to Grandma's house. The man never said a word, even when it was obvious I was telling the other girls about him. He was wearing all black, and never left the bush, even when we watched from Grandma's window for the next few hours. When we initially ran up to the park, he must have already been hiding. I can't even begin to think what he was doing there, or what his plan was, but I'm very thankful I wasn't alone that day. Our third story is from pjrdolanz. My dog is mine and my best friend's possible hero. I've always wanted my own dog. I put a lot of research into it and decided to get a Bernese mountain dog, which my mom graciously paid for part of as a graduation present. One thing to know about this breed, and my dog in specific, Sirius, is that they are very friendly and don't know a stranger. Before getting him, I saw videos of the same breed just napping while repair people came into the backyard. This was not an issue for me. We have a very protective St. Bernard at home, and I didn't think we needed a second guard dog, and as I wanted to be able to take my dog out, it was better for him to be friendly. Around October, when a chill was just starting to form in the air, a friend and I decided to get some pumpkin-flavored coffee for us, and a pup cup for Sirius, and go to a local park to get him some exercise now that it wasn't too hot for him outside, and smoke some. This is not one of the nicer parks. It used to have a dog park attached, but due to continuous flood damage, it was closed down, and now the area where it used to be is mostly secluded, and there's plenty of people who use that for their advantage and do drugs there, like we had planned on doing. There's also lots of families on the weekends, but this was the middle of the week during school and work hours, so the park was pretty empty when we got there. As we walked, we passed a man who was training for something that I'm not sure I'd like to know about. He was carrying a full army pack and was drenched in sweat, and when I later told my stepdad about this, he said he had seen the same guy running along the main road, where there are no sidewalks. Sirius completely ignored him. We also met a couple who had a Rottweiler puppy a few months younger than my dog, and we stopped to let them play for a moment and talk to the couple. Sirius had absolutely no issues with the pair, and was very happy to receive pets from them. Eventually, we got to the location we were planning to smoke at, directly underneath the train tracks, which is the most secluded location in the park, as there's only one path to get to it, unlike the rest of the park that loops around. This area used to be a road, but was purchased by the city for the park, so it's empty besides a house or two just past the barriers. We're there for around 30 minutes before an older man walks by, gives us a, "How's it going?" the way people do when you pass them on a walk, and turns around and walks back the other way. A little while later, he passes back again and notices us still sitting there, stops and says, "Are you guys all right? Are you wanting a ride?" This creeped me out slightly, but I tend to be overly cautious, so I say, "No, we're okay," which was true. I had driven there, and I was still nowhere sober enough to drive, and we were just enjoying the nice weather before it got too cold. He responds by telling us to have a nice day and turning around. Sirius, through these interactions, just continued to play with the stick he was chewing on. I mentioned these encounters just to solidify how absolutely strange the next one was. Soon after, a man who seemed to be in his late 40s or early 50s starts to walk towards us. Instead of turning around like the other man had done, he starts to walk towards us. Sirius absolutely loses it, barking and growling at this man and attempting to lunge at him, despite the fact that he was only around 7 months at this time. Sirius is a big dog, probably around 70 pounds at this point, and the man was very freaked out and continues past us, walking faster and keeping his distance. However, like I said earlier, there is nothing behind us besides an empty road and thick, heavy woods. My friend and I continued to sit there, talking, until I was sure enough that he was gone. That was weird, right? I asked my friend around 30 minutes after. She agreed with me. Where did he even go anyway? That was something I hadn't considered at the time, but looking around, I couldn't think of anywhere he could have been. Because we're high and stupid, we come up with this brilliant idea to wait and see if he passes us again, and if he doesn't, we'd walk towards the road behind us to see if there were houses he could have gone to. However, him living in one seemed unlikely. He was dressed for hiking, with one of those backpacks specifically made for it. And if he lived close, I didn't think he'd be dressed up for a hike. He doesn't pass us again. So we walk up to the small hill and past the barricade. There's around 3 houses just past it, all pretty run down. And the second we get to the first one, a man comes out on his porch with a gun and just stares at us. So safe to say, the people who live there aren't a fan of people from the park on their property. I think the only solution is he went into the woods. I'd never seen my dog act like that before, and I haven't seen him act like that since. Every other time, he acts like everyone he meets, he's known for life. I've always thought that dogs have better instincts than us, and this has just proved it for me. We're both pretty small girls, around 100 pounds and under 5'5", and it's scary to think what could have happened had my dog not been there with us, and we had no way to defend ourselves in such a secluded area. Our last story is from the Thesilphsecret. Large, scary man alone in the woods at night. This happened around 10 years ago, give or take about a year. Just found out about this subreddit and thought it was worth posting. My friend Craig and I made plans to hang out with our friend Jeremy and his new girlfriend. Neither of us had to work the next day, so we grabbed some beers and made our way to Jeremy's mom's apartment complex, where Jer was temporarily staying. When we got there, we went out into the woods behind the apartment complex to drink. This wasn't just a little patch of trees, but a good-sized patch of forest. For context, this was in New York State. It was a nice fall day, late afternoon, and the sun was still out. We finished the beers and decided to go get more, so we went to the store to get some more beer, head back to the apartments, and enter the woods. This was autumn, and the light outside was right at that stage where it starts to very quickly fade. We underestimated how dark it would be once we were in the woods, and how fast the light was fading away. We planned on making a fire, but didn't really count on it being so dark when we got back. So we're walking into this sort of clearing area, from where we can choose to head off in a few different directions. We're having a good time, laughing, talking, but something not too far in the distance catches my eye. It's too dark to tell, but I swear I can see a very large figure. No, that's too big. It's probably just a tree or your eyes messing with you. So as Jeremy is gabbing in the background, I ask Craig send aside if he can see something standing up ahead. And he's like, "No, where? Oh, wait, there? Oh shit." We were still walking, and it was becoming clear I wasn't seeing things. There was a very large person standing in the forest up ahead, apparently facing us. So I try to get Jeremy's attention without cluing the big guy in that we've noticed him, just in case something sketchy is going on, which I get the serious feeling there is. We tell Jeremy there's a person up ahead, but Jeremy is in a jovial, no-chill state, and he exclaims, "Holy shit, is that Bigfoot?" We humor him and laugh, But it's clear to Craig and I that this is actually creepy, and probably not a safe situation. And it's clear that Jeremy is not understanding that. It's hard to communicate the pacing of our approach onto the guy, but essentially we had gotten too close not to acknowledge him. Partially because it took us a moment to get Jeremy's attention, and partially because we weren't trying to just turn around and run like we were scared. There were 4 of us, and 1 of him after all. But this was a big guy. Not supernaturally big or anything, and it's not like he was jacked or anything like that. Just a naturally gigantic dude, very tall and heavy, without being particularly fat. And he was just standing there, in the middle of the forest, in the dark, alone. So as we approach this guy, and just sort of say, hello, Jeremy, the absolute fool that he was, gets way too close into the guy's personal space as he enthusiastically tells him about how scary he looks, standing in the woods alone.
We thought you were an alien or something, bro. I thought you were gonna jump and...
Jeremy mimes an extra set of teeth coming out of his mouth like a xenomorph from the Alien vs. Predator movies, all up in this guy's face. To be clear, Jeremy is not trying to be intimidating or a jerk in any way. He is trying to be friendly and joking around with this guy. But he is literally leaning into the dude and practically sticking his hands in his face with his impression of an alien. Did I mention that Jeremy was kind of a moron? Jeremy was kind of a moron. Love you, Jeremy. You were kind of a moron. And Jeremy's poor girlfriend, who was a few years younger than us and very shy, was clearly terrified, to which Jer was also oblivious. So Craig and I are both standing here kind of trying to brainstorm a way out of this situation. Jeremy is clearly too dense to get it if we say that we have to go. He'd be like,
"What? We just got here. Are we having a fire?"
And we were trying to seem confident and in control of the situation. Big guy says,
"Oh, you guys are drinking? I got some drinks too."
And he walks over to the tree line, where he has a big bag laying beside a tree. He reaches in the bag, and while he grabs a beer with one hand, he sort of sneakily pulls something else out with his other hand and places it into his hoodie pocket. I'm convinced it was a knife or a gun. Probably a knife, in all honesty. He then reapproaches us and cracks open his beer. I glance around casually, and then I notice something else. Somebody else is out there. There's someone moving along the tree line to our left, a relatively good distance away, but somebody else is here, and they're circling around us as if to come up behind us. Screw this. I need to leave now. So I go, well, I gotta work in the morning and Craig's driving me home, so we gotta get out of here. Jeremy, in his infinite wisdom, responds,
"What? You said you didn't have to work tomorrow."
I facepalm so hard on the inside. No, Jeremy, you must have misheard me. I said I do have work tomorrow. And Jeremy, proving there is no end to his wisdom, says,
"All right, guys. Well, it was nice hanging out with you. Get home safe."
He wasn't leaving the woods with us. Craig and I started walking away, and I told him about the other person circling to get behind us and that we needed to move. We start trying to brainstorm a way to get Jeremy and his girlfriend out of there and decide to call him and tell him that his mom was out in the parking lot looking for him. Jeremy is terrified of his mom, Craig explains to me, and this should work. Because we clearly couldn't just call him and tell him the situation was not safe without him blurting out,
"This guy isn't sketchy. I totally feel safe."
Jeremy was very mad at us for lying about his mom. I think his girlfriend appreciated it, though. I'm not sure what was going on there that night. I've talked to several people about it over the years, and there are a few different ideas. Did they know we were coming back? Were they waiting for us? Or did we stumble into something we weren't meant to? Almost everyone I tell about this says, you guys just accidentally interrupted a drug deal. But something about that just doesn't seem right. Who does a drug deal in the middle of the woods at night? I don't know. Very possibly just a homeless dude with no ill intention, and another homeless dude with no ill intention, but it was a very creepy and scary situation. and I just thought I would share. Thank you for listening to Whisperwood Stories. If you enjoyed, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe down below. Do you have a story that you'd like me to read here? Consider commenting or sending it to whisperwoodsubmissions@gmail.com. The stories in this video were read with the author's permissions. Thank you again for listening, and be sure to check out the original Reddit posts. Want to support me? Check the link below where you can leave a tip if you wish. And remember, don't let the shadows get too close. Good night.